Well, we've had a bit of inquiries to see how the cabinets are going, so fortunately Jeanette and myself are up here on the sunny coast, and I thought we'd pop in and just do a little interview, get a bit of an update on how things are travelling. So, well guys, you're still alive and kicking, and I've heard you've just come out of COVID, so what?
Yeah, this week,
This week, is it?
Yeah.
Goodness me, what do you sort of, just like to test the water a bit?
Well, we came out of it really well, so.
Well, compared to what you've been through.
Yeah.
So, just look, we're curious. So, a lot of people asking what the medical profession are saying. So, what's happening on that front? You've got a doctor, or you go and see a specialist, or whatever?
Well, first of all, our doctor didn't believe it when I rang him and told him, so he didn't believe it. So he came around, but he said it took him weeks to really understand it. And now he's saying, I hope you don't mind, but I've told my whole family. And I hope you don't mind, and he's just going on and on and on. And so when we go into the doctors now, they're going, oh, here's the miracle man, like it's really crazy. And he's saying, it's the story of the year. So he wanted us to go back to the hospital, obviously, and see the head of oncology back there. And when we finally went to see him, we didn't really want to. We only did it to please this GP. And he said, oh, your doctor keeps ringing me all the time. He just wants me to look at this. And he wouldn't look at his head. He just kept looking at the computer.
Yeah.
He just couldn't put.
Yeah.
And I had to keep coming back to him all the time. And I said, look, have you ever seen anybody this close to death and survive? And he said, no. Finally, he just didn't want to say anything.
No.
He wanted to think that he's given some magic potion to him, but there was nothing, and he's on the computer.
Yeah.
So we've still got to go back. We've got to go back to see plastics people, and they were the ones that gave him 4 weeks to live. And so I'm happy to go back and see them and see what they have to say.
Good.
Because they're really, this thing on his head was bigger than a softball.
Yeah.
And and there was 2, so one actually hung right down to almost his eyebrow. It was so huge, and we stopped taking photos because we thought we didn't want to remember him with this, and we didn't. And now we're sorry we didn't.
That's good. He's always a handsome rooster anyway. That's good. And so, what about the family? How's the family? Because you're having all those Skype meetings, or the Zoom meetings with the families every week.
We said goodbye to everybody on the Zoom meeting, and everyone's in tears and crying. It was shocking. And my daughter was organising.
Because you could hardly talk, could you? At one stage,
it was very muddly. Yeah, it was very muddly. It was like I had a stroke.
Yeah.
So I couldn't make a lot of sense.
No.
And I had to think about what I was going to say. And I'd get halfway through a sentence and forget where I was. And so it was muddly, but they got the message. It was obvious that I was dying, and there was not much chance, not much hope for me. And so they were all crying and
Well, Sue got on. She said this to everyone. She said, everybody, this is the last Zoom meeting.
Wow.
So we had to, it was a goodbye meeting,
Yeah.
And so within a week and a half, we were having another Zoom meeting, and we hadn't told anybody. And my son said, oh, what are they going to do? Just stick him up on a broom or something he thought this was not good. Not good, And then we said what had happened, and it was crazy. It was just crazy.
Yeah, good.
But the whole time when he started to move the fingers, I saw him staring, and I thought he's gone, because they've only given him 3 days. We organised the funeral, and so I went and I said, "Are you all right?" And he couldn't sort of talk, but he looked down, and he wanted me to see his fingers moving, and I looked at the fingers moving, and I just thought, and I just walked away into the kitchen and started getting dinner ready. And I didn't see it as anything good.
No.
I didn't. My brain didn't cope with it. I'll put it that way.
No.
And so my daughter got home within half an hour, maybe an hour, with the groceries, and she walked in the kitchen. She said, "Mum, what's going on?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Noel's talking and he's going like this with his hands." And that's happened in an hour.
The hand that was otherwise paralysed.
Yeah.
Leg.
I couldn't even lift his leg up onto a wheelchair. It was so heavy. He had nothing.
Yeah.
And at night he couldn't even turn over. So I was awake all night just turning him backwards and forwards.
Wow.
Getting about 2 hours sleep.
Well, you're cutting it fine, mate.
Yeah, I know. Cutting it fine, all right.
Where was were you sort of conscious of what was going on, or were you just drifting in and out of consciousness, or?
I was conscious, but because the left side of my brain was so damaged from lack of blood and the blockage in the artery, the main artery that fed the left side of my brain with blood, I had no compassion. It's sort of the compassion side of my brain was dead.
Wow.
And like the rational side was there,
and
with that side I listened to conversations from my bed and try and work out how long I had to live. But I didn't have the compassion to worry about it. It was like
that's weird, isn't it?
It was like it was a fact, you know. I was dying, and that was how I was dealing with it in a rational sort of a way.
And you're one of the most compassionate guys I know, so which is really unusual, isn't it? You know, I guess that's how we've operated over the years. Tell me about that nurse in Sydney. What happened with her? Because remember, you're in the hospital. I thought that was your swan
I know.
when you rang me. And I thought, oh, well, that's a good way to go out, Cav.
He was so excited. I thought they must have done something amazing.
She gets filled with the Spirit there in the hospital with you.
Yeah.
What happened with her? Any feedback on that one?
Yeah, she came to a meeting.
Did she?
She brought a couple of friends.
Well, she brought, there were 6 of them came up.
6 Indians.
Well, from India. They live down in Brisbane. They came up here.
They live in Brisbane,
lovely. That would have been exciting, eh?
It was fun.
This is the bloke.
It was really exciting.
And two of the girls wanted the Holy Spirit too, so we prayed with them as well. So.
Wow. Well, they're all miracles in the process, aren't they? Which is really
I was in contact with her yesterday, and she said, "I hope to get back soon." But she's a nurse and she's working on a COVID ward down there, so it's not all. She can't get away very often.
Wow.
But it's great.
Well, look, we're going to have to wind it up. We've got a short window on Wednesday United, but again, Wendy, any thoughts? Like, you've obviously, you know, as the carer, watching it, you know, people dealing with these sort of situations, what advice would you sort of give us there?
Well, I just, obviously I was very painful for me, but also, you know, at night I was talking to the Lord and saying things like, if there's any more work for us to do, Lord, let it be through this. And one night I got a picture of Jesus on the cross, and I just thought, Jesus, don't let what you've done be in vain. Like what you've done for healing for everybody, it's a promise for everybody, and I said, let us be able to take hold of that promise. And for us personally, we refused to look up anything to do on the internet with this problem. We refused, there was no treatments available, there was nothing, they'd sent him home to die, so he wasn't on anything. And we decided that we would have nothing to do with any natural remedies whatsoever. We didn't want to hear about them. And we had a lot of very, very kind friends that were offering all kinds of therapies that they thought we had to tell them we didn't want to hear any of them. Because I just look at that scripture sometimes that talk about a double-minded man doesn't receive from the Lord, and I just thought, look, he's been given basically a death sentence, and I just wanted if the Lord's going to heal him, let it be his glory. I didn't want to say, oh, well, you know, we did try this other thing, and that was probably part of the healing. So it's only 100% of the Lord.
Yeah, well, this is how people feel at times. A lot of people mean well, but it can be really distracting. And I've known you guys from day one in the 40 plus years. It's always been the Lord heals.
Yeah.
It's if He's going to heal us, He's going to heal us. You know.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Noel? A little final thought for advice for people, you know, might be struggling. Maybe they've got cancer themselves.
Yeah. Well, look, like the best advice I can give anybody with any long-term disease or problem is don't rely on the remedies. Don't look to Dr. Google. If you're going to trust the Lord completely, and put all those things aside, so that, as Wendy just said, so that the Lord gets the glory, and not the remedies, the people with the remedies, and look, I gave him this and that worked, and I gave him that, but I think that's detrimental to your relationship with the Lord. It's detrimental to your faith in not that I had a lot going for me, but all along this has been my decision to trust the Lord. Either if He heals me, and He gets the glory. If He doesn't, well, too bad. But you know, I've had this saying for a long time now: if you're going to pray for rain, take an umbrella.
You're a classic. Thanks for the interview, guys. Stay in touch, and we'll hear more of this. Thank you.